It's great to be with you, to teach you to quickly meditate every day. It's great to be with you, to teach you to relax in your daily life and to be healthier doing living moments meditation. I'll be explaining the 5 surprises and secrets of health boosting living moments meditation. First, though, just what is meditation? Well, there's mindfulness, what's called mindfulness. Most people, if they know about meditation in the United States and in Europe, they're thinking of mindfulness. And mindfulness is a Buddhist form of meditation. It originated with Buddhism thousands of years ago. And in mindfulness meditation, the person focuses on thinking about their body, about their breathing, about objects that they're looking at. But the key phrase is they do this without judgment. They make no judgment of what they're observing. That's why I call mindfulness meditation mindlessness meditation, because the mind is not being used. Most meditation prior to 1978 was religious meditation. Up to 1978, almost all meditation was associated with some kind of religious belief. Now, I want to also mention that meditation for better health, for improving your health, is focused on neutral and positive things and not on negative things. The average or typical person thinks about negative things during the day from 4,000 to 48,000 times. That's a lot of negative thinking. I'll be focusing on defining living moments meditation by telling you about my 85 years of meditating. My meditating began at least by age 8. I really think it began when I was age 5, because my meditation began saying the Catholic Rosary. And I'm sure my parents had taught me the prayers of the Catholic Rosary by the time I was 5. My parents were real big into saying the Rosary. And so I'm sure by age 5, I was meditating using the Catholic Rosary. But I remember using the word meditate when I was 8 years old. And how that came about was, by the time I was 8 years old, the nuns introduced a new concept into Rosary meditation. They told us that while we were focusing on the thoughts and the words in the prayers of the Rosary, we also would be focusing on mysteries in the life of Jesus. And that confused me, because I couldn't understand, how can I focus my mind on the prayers of the Rosary, and at the same time, how can I focus on the mysteries in the life of Jesus? And so I remember asking the nun how I could do that. I remember using the term meditate. How do I meditate on 2 different things at the same time? Well, I never got an answer to that question. So for years, I was always puzzled by that. Now, over the years, I matured beyond saying the Rosary. And By 1974, I was being influenced by teachings from the Unity School of Practical Christianity in Unity Village, Missouri. And also, by that time, about 1974, I was a lay minister. That means an unordained minister, mostly in United Church of Christ congregational churches. And I was learning more about positive kinds of meditation. For instance, by that time, 1974, I was very focused on a phrase of 34 words written by the Apostle Paul. And I'll be talking about those just a little bit later, but these words by the Apostle Paul are the first instruction that I have found in my research for non-religious meditation. I'll be telling you these 34 words a little bit later. Also, by that time, 1974, I was familiar with guided meditation. I conducted some guided meditation in church services from that point on. And then, this would be probably 8 years ago, I began to do research and to write the book that I've written about meditation. And that book, the title of it is Simply How to Meditate. The subtitle is Meditation Made Easy for Beginners and Busy People. Now, at this point, after telling you a little bit about my 85 years of meditating, I'm going to give you my definition of health boosting meditation. And my definition is thinking about the good stuff. Let's explain why most people do not meditate daily. Let's take a few moments to talk about the objections to meditation and my answers. The first objection is, and this is the objection I hear most, people will say, mostly it's the doctors and the nurses and other people working in the medical field whom I ask, because I ask almost everyone at some point, do you meditate? And the answer I get is almost always, I know I should, but I don't have time. Well, my answer to that is, that's bullshit. You have time to think 5,000 to 48,000 thoughts a day, negative thoughts a day. I think the number of thoughts we have a day are estimated to be something like 65,000 thoughts a day. And of those 65,000 thoughts a day, 5,000 to 48,000 are negative thoughts. And my answer to the objection is, we certainly have time in the day to find 5 to 15 and even 20 minutes a day to focus our mind on positive thoughts. I want to give you an example of how I do this. And my example is this. I'm going to show you this picture. This is a picture of my chosen daughter, Jahira, and her first granddaughter. And her granddaughter's name is Milani Rose. And then underneath the picture is a caption or a quotation, and it's a quotation from my dad. So how do I use this picture, the images on this picture, for a real quick meditation? Well, first of all, I like the name Milani Rose. I think it's musical, it's poetic, and I particularly like the name because it includes the name Rose. And my mother's name was Rose. And so it's very, very easy and comforting for me in meditation simply to repeat the name, Milani Rose, Milani Rose. But then I add what is in the caption. Now the caption is a quotation from my father. And my dad was a chiropractor, but my dad also was blind. My dad was blind, totally blind from the age of 15. His blindness began at the age of 3. He was removed from school after 3rd grade because he couldn't see the blackboard. But when he was 15 years old, he became totally blind. When he was 17 years old, he took himself to the school for the blind in Iowa, and he married my mother, and then they moved to Chicago, and in Chicago in the 1920s, he enrolled in chiropractic school. He graduated in about 1927 from 2 chiropractic schools and began practicing in Blue Earth, Minnesota. He was near death at age 81, and shortly before he died, he was visited by one of his friends. And his friend asked him, "Doc, when you die, what do you most want to see?" And my dad replied, "I most want to see the face of a baby, or of a child, the face of a child, because in the face of a child, I will see the face of God." Now, for my spontaneous meditation, I can do any time during the day and even in the night. When I have a few minutes, just a few minutes to meditate, it's easy for me to repeat these words. Milani Rose, I want to see the face of a child, because in the face of a child, I will see the face of God. And I repeat that again and again, 30 times, 40 times, and during that short period of time, I've meditated 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Anyone can find time to do this kind of meditation. Another kind of meditation is called transcendental meditation. And that's an Eastern form of meditation. It goes back many, many thousands of years in India. Now, one objection to meditating often, and this is the second objection, people say it's boring. Well, yes, mindfulness meditation and transcendental meditation and other forms of what I call religious meditation, they can be boring, but it doesn't have to be boring. Living Moments meditation is thinking on the positives in contrast to all the negatives that we have in our mind. Now, a question. What are your living moments? I've demonstrated to you just one example of living moments in my life. The words of my dad about the first thing he wants to see after his death. What kind of living moments do you have in your life that you can bring into the present moment and meditate? The third objection that I hear to meditating is, it's silly. And when I ask people, what do you mean it's silly? Almost always they say to me, well, meditation means sitting on a pillow with my legs crossed, holding up my arms like this, putting my fingers together like this as if I have two cigarettes. And they say that's silly for me. Well, meditation doesn't have to be sitting on a pillow. And I want to make this point. In my book, I have many, many, many examples, beautiful examples of colored pictures in my book. And there's not one picture in my book of anybody meditating by sitting on a pillow with their legs crossed. Now, the fourth objection. Some people will say they don't meditate very much because they've never seen the benefits. This is very, very important. If you're doing living moments meditation or other kinds of meditation in which you are doing deep and slow breathing, you are going to see the health improvement benefits almost immediately. And I'll get into that in a few moments. Right now, I want to begin talking to you about what I call the 5 surprises and secrets of healing meditation. The first surprise and secret is, number 1, do slow, deep breathing. By slow, deep breathing, I mean what's called diaphragmic breathing. And diaphragmic breathing is what many of us call baby or stomach breathing. When babies are born and when infants begin to grow, they are doing stomach breathing. You breathe in and your stomach comes out, and you breathe the air out, your stomach comes in. That's what we mean by stomach breathing and diaphragmic breathing. This was shown, it was first proven by Dr. Herbert Benson and associates from Harvard Medical School in 1974. The second surprise in meditation is focusing on positive thoughts and positive experiences. And this is the kind of meditation that results in health boosting. I want to give you an example, and this example is a bit longer than the first example. And in this example, I'm remembering more than one important thing in my life. I'm going to focus on 4 important things in my life. And they're all positive. The first one is a phrase, and the phrase is, Val, you are my certainty. Val is the name of my wife, and my wife has been deceased now for over 6 years. And so this one's very important. What do I mean, Val, you are my certainty? Well, over my many, many years, I've learned that there are 4 people in my life whom I call my certainties. The first is my paternal grandmother. My grandmother was exceedingly poor. Now we're talking about 1920s and 30s and 40s. She was exceedingly poor. She was a German woman. She was tough and strong, like so many German women. And even so, I knew from the first memory I have that my grandma loved me. Now, she never ever told me those words, but I trusted that she did. I knew it. I never had a doubt. The next 2 people who have been certainties in my life are my mother and my dad. Now, my dad never used those words in talking to me. That was common in that period, and prior to that, it was common for people, adults, not to use the phrase, I love you. But I knew my dad loved me. Never had a doubt. Same with my mother. Now, my mother, I don't recall ever using the words in speech, but my mother did sign her notes and her letters with the phrase, love and I love you. But I never ever doubted their love. And I call them my 2 certainties. And my 4th certainty in my life is my wife, Val. And so my first phrase in this meditation is, Val, you are my certainty. The second phrase is, everything about you, Val, I like and I love. And I was able to say those words for years because I knew her. Well, I met her when I was 12 days old, and she was 3 months old. And I met her in bed, well, in the baby bed, because on that particular day, we had a babysitter, the same babysitter, who put us in the same baby bed together. We married at age 21, and we were married for 66 years. And I'm able to say in meditation, Val, everything about you I like and I love. The 4th phrase I'm able to say is, I am joyful, Val is with me. And the reason I say that phrase is that's almost the title of a poem that she wrote in the year 2000. And the title of her poem is Be Joyful, I Am With You. And so I repeat this phrase in meditation. I am joyful, you are with me. And the fourth phrase I use, and while I'm reciting my phrases, you think of some phrases of your own, some affirmations you can say from good and positive memories in your life. And this is the fourth. All things work together for good for those who love. Well, that's the phrase. It comes from that phrase in Scripture, but the phrase that I've modified the phrase for myself, and the phrase I modified is all things work together for good for Val and me together. Putting those all four together, this is what I can repeat in meditation. It takes about 30 seconds to repeat these phrases, so every time I repeat them twice, I've meditated a minute. And the phrases are, Val, you are my certainty. Everything about you I like and I love. I am joyful. You are with me. All things work together for good for Val and for me together. I also want to, at this point, expand on what I said earlier about the Apostle Paul writing 34 non-religious words in the letter to the Philippians, chapter 4. And these are instructions for what I call non-religious meditation, because there's no particularly a religious word or thought in this phrase. The phrase is, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is loving, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think on these things. That last phrase is often translated into the English, meditate on these things. Again, these are the words, the key words. Focus your thoughts on all kinds of memories you have from the past and all kinds of things going on in your life right now that fulfill these words. They're true, they're honorable, they're just, they're pure, they're loving, they're commendable. Think of all the people you know whom you can use that word with, who are commendable. The next word is anything and everyone who is excellent. The word is excellence. And the last phrase is worthy of praise, and that's a big one. Think of how easy it is for you to meditate instantaneously, spontaneously, for 1, 2, 3, or 5 minutes, simply by thinking of all the people and activities and things. The third secret of meditation for health improvement is to picture your thoughts in your mind, to see these images in your mind. Now you can do that with your mind, with your eyes closed, or you can keep your eyes open and look at positive images. For instance, if you're doing some kind of religious meditation, you can be in a church observing statues, for instance. But it's important to see in your mind what it is that you are meditating on, the positive things that you're meditating on. However, there is one problem with that for a small number of people. And I did not know that when I was researching and writing my book, Simply How to Meditate. And I sent the first draft of my book out to several people to read my draft and critique it. And one person who read my draft gave me one criticism. They got to a phrase that I used in the draft where the phrase was, see the image in your mind. And the person who was critiquing my draft said, some people can't see an object in their mind. Well, that surprised me. I quickly learned that from 3 to 5% of the population do not have the ability to see objects or things in their mind. And that medical or health condition was first discovered something over 100 years ago, but never really caught on in the healing industry. And the word for this condition was only coined about 20 years ago. And that condition is called aphantasia. I'll spell that aphantasia, aphantasia. Aphantasia means you are unable to see images in your mind. An example is, try to see in your mind an apple. People with aphantasia are unable to see the apple in their mind with their eyes closed. However, there are alternatives to seeing images in our mind. One is, you can go to an art museum and you can look at art on the walls in the museum. Go outside and look at all kinds of beauty in nature. The most common way now today with our electronic devices, and particularly our cell phones, you can put dozens and hundreds of pictures of things you can meditate on your cell phone and on your electronic devices. So there are alternate ways of seeing images without closing your eyes. Now, the fifth surprise and secret of meditation, and this is the last one I'll be mentioning, and the secret is meditation is not limited just to the formal kinds of meditation we're introduced to, like mindfulness or the rosary, or other forms of religious meditation and other forms of Eastern meditation. Meditation is not limited. In fact, you can say, and I can say, that there are thousands of ways to meditate, because there are, well, think of all the people in the world. There are several billion people in the world. There are all kinds of ways individuals meditation. I want to give you one example of that. This was just several years ago. I was at Waldorf University in Forest City, Iowa, and I gave a 1-hour class on meditation, on living moments meditation, starting at 11, and so it ended about 12 o'clock at noon. Two of my friends had come down from the Twin Cities for this class, and so after the class, I suggested we go a couple blocks away to downtown and have a lunch. So we walked into this small cafe. There weren't many people in there. We sat at a single table, the three of us, and a waitress came to help us. And I would say she was probably 67 years old, but she was very bubbly. She had a very positive, outgoing personality and cheerful, and she welcomed us, and she asked, what brings you to Forest City? And I said, well, I just finished teaching a class in meditation at Waldorf. And she says to me, I meditate. Well, that's kind of unusual, because there aren't that many people who meditate. And to have a waitress volunteer, I meditate. And so I said to her, well, what kind of meditation do you do? And she said, I am Wicca. Now, Wicca is a modern form of witchcraft, or the witchcraft religion. And there are a few Wicca people in northern Iowa. And she says that she was Wicca. And I asked her, well, how do you do your meditation? And she says, when I get done with work in the middle of the afternoon, I'm really tired and I'm sweaty, and I go home and I take a shower. And after I've showered and I've cleaned up, I sit down with my knitting. And she says, while I am knitting, I think of the spiritual being I believe in helping me be calm and relaxed. Now, this is what is really surprising. This morning, I met a woman at the historic Park Inn Hotel where I am a docent. And this woman is from Kansas City. And inside conversation, I learned very quickly that she was Roman Catholic, and she wanted to talk about her beliefs in Catholicism. And after the tour was over, we sat and talked a while, and she told me I might have asked her, because she had told me that her meditation was saying the rosary, and which I understood. And so she got more specific after the tour, and she told me about how in her meditation, not only did she pray, she spoke to certain saints, asking saints to help her. And I immediately thought of this. She's doing the same kind of meditation that this waitress in Forest City does, who is a Wicca person. The only difference is the lady from Forest City is asking a spiritual person Wicca people believe in, and in her situation, she is asking saints that Catholics believe in. The kind of meditation is identical. Now, I want to get to the most important, and we're wrapping this up right now. For more help to teach yourself living moments meditation, and for more help to teach others living moments meditation, go to my website. The website is simplyhowtomeditate.com. Click on the button that says Guide to Teaching, and you can download a free copy of the Guide to Teaching 11 Moments Meditation. It's a PDF document, and it's free, and you can download it from my website, Simply How to Meditate. Guide to Teaching How to Meditate. And second, you can purchase my book, Simply How to Meditate, from Amazon. Most important, for more help to teach yourself living moments meditation, and for more help to teach others living moments meditation, read my Guide to Teaching Living Moments Meditation. Download it as a free PDF from my website. The website is www.simplyhowtomeditate.com. And read my book. You can order my book from Amazon. If you have any questions about meditation, email them to me. Email to author Jim at simplyhowtomeditate.com. I also invite you to watch my next video, video number 2. The title is Teach Yourself Better Health Meditation.